Hey folks, welcome back. This is Lucid, and we're jumping back into our game with Ermor. It's turn 82, and the war with Naba. Not Naba. Naba has been our most of the game ally. The war with Ysian has commenced. So, we also are going to get to see this episode. The war between Relay and Ashdod kickoff. So Relay sending in his big pink Brussels sprout. And, yeah. I guess that's not exactly... It's more like a broccoli stalk. How many kills does he have? 900? Weapons of Sharpness. That's an interesting script. Oh, I think he just didn't cast his script because it used gems. And the army was too weak. So it's interesting he actually got defeated here. I wonder if there's a way to... Like, if you knew where he would go, and you make it so that he actually wins the combat, and then gets stuck there, that would be kind of hilarious. And then you could potentially kill it. He's banking on the rig and returning. Not exactly sure how you do that. Not exactly sure. There's probably a way. Anyway... that's happening. We found a magnet site. Mercury Pond and Tar Pits. Both very nice. Mercury Pond actually is a 2-gem site. So that's nice. Okay, coming down. We've got only a few battles, but we'll take a look. We'll do it from the map. So coming in, we send a small raiding squad on top of this fort. And he has not PD dumped it or anything. So that's nice. And we just take it with like a little bit of nothing. Here we also raided with a little bit of nothing and we take it. So apparently these PD dumps are not happening, but actually this is the main course, like probably for the whole episode, guys. Well, maybe not. We've got some cool battles coming up too. But Naba, this Doomstack we saw at, towards the end of last episode, it comes in to fight Yis, and Yis has here a golem with hella gear, like crazy gear. The Dimensional Rod, a Rune Smasher, Ring of Wizardry, so it's Astral 6, and then this, okay, it doesn't give penetration, but anyway, super high. This to me spells Master and Slave, because these also are pin gear, so he's 4 pin at least, and then you know he's going to jump in a Communion, and then he's got a bunch of Kurnow Druids, and Kurnow Druids are really good units. They're expensive, but they're also Astral Mages, and behind, I really like how this Yes player thinks. He took like what I would consider to be a pretty hard position, and isn't just like playing it to like make small gains. He's trying to make power plays, which I like a lot. So yeah, what is he doing? He did a huge PD dump. This is 300 PD. I mean 300 units, and they're almost all from PD. And it's to do this, it's about 5,000 gold to do 100 PD. He's also got... oh no, that's PD too. I don't see an Air Mage. So I think it's going to be mostly Earth, Astral, Nature buffs. And then maybe Master and Slave. So let's see. So the Communion's going off on both sides. There goes Fog Warriors. I'm actually not sure who cast that. Could it have been this lady? No. Oh, here she is. She casts Fog Warriors, which she's Air Force, of course. And then the Kurnow Druid's just doing Gifts of Heaven. Now, one of the problems that Naba is going to make here, he's actually going to make it a few different places, is he's not doing Will of Fates, which, in my opinion, if you're playing Naba going against an Astral Earth Nation, you really want to do Will of Fates. Now, there went Master and Slave, and it was not actually terribly effective. You can see it got a few things, and it looks like it got his Vampire too, but it didn't get a ton. And that's because I think he got anti-magic off, yeah. So, not very effective against 19MR stuff. And I don't think he had the gems to do it more. Yeah. And let's see if we can find any of the slaves. Yeah, I put a fair amount of fatigue on the slaves, but not too much, actually. But now all these guys who are on attack closest are actually running backwards to their buddies who turn-coded on them. And here come in the Gifts of Heaven. Now, not getting off Will of Fates is a very, very big deal against Gifts of Heaven spam. And meanwhile, on their side, they did get off Will of Fates. So even once these guys get clustered in combat, and, you know, Gifts of Heaven is something that has a lot of friendly fire. The other thing that's kind of funny is there's extra damage being done, because every time he hits a Communion Slave, these guys are Phoenix-pired, so they, like, blow up everything around them. And he doesn't... He has pretty good protection, which I think will help against the Phoenix-pired damage, but he doesn't have fire resistance. And yeah, the Gifts of Heaven here is just murderous. It's like whenever you cast Gifts of Heaven, it never freaking hits, and then when the enemy casts it, it's like... And they're just not... The front line has been already kind of butchered. A lot of them are retreating. And, yeah, they're not really making any progress here. And it's not super clear, like, what... We'd have to look at it. We might look at it again. It's not super clear what Naba's Communion was doing. He brought a lot of mages. It was a major mage commitment, but it's not super clear what they did. And it's definitely appearing to be less effective than Gifts of Heaven. Now, part of the problem with that is, like, what is he going to do? A lot of it's astral stuff, like... Let's see if we can see. Enslave Mind, maybe? Or Soul Slay. Those things aren't, you know... Against 300 units that are in the PD, it's not maybe the best use of resources. Okay, and now it's a general retreat. With Enslaved Mind continuing to rain down. Now the Communion Slaves here are pretty tough. They've got Phoenix Pyre. So unless they get enslaved or soul slayed, which can happen, they're going to pop back up when they die. He did not do, unfortunately, Soul Vortex on them, or it would be hilarious. This battle is actually going to have a very funny outcome. I now remember how it ends. I think I do anyway. This, by the way, is almost no army commitment from Yis. It's only the mages, so it's really just Kernel Druids plus PD dump. And the Golem. And the Master and Slave didn't even make that huge of a difference, except for really disrupting troop formation. It had them all run to the back. And the Enslaved Minds continuing to fire off. Let's take a look at the battle round, though. We're getting pretty late. Oh, no. There's still plenty of time left. Alright, and that's how it ends. Let's see if the battle report matches that. So... in this one, the Golem dies. I don't actually remember how that happened, but... There's still a lot of mages left. There's a pretty good chance he picked up a lot of the Golem gear, which is, like, the Golem was worth probably like 300 gems with all the gear on it. Maybe not quite that much, probably pretty close. But, yeah, super, like, at least 250. Well, I don't know. Maybe around 250 is probably more accurate to say than at least. Anyway, so that was pretty good, but with all these mages, there's a pretty good chance he picked up a lot of the gear, if not all of it. He got a bunch of the Mooka Ribs, which, I don't know why it's showing him as 30 gold. Anyway, they've got, getting shitty mages and enslaving them is actually usually pretty bad, because they're going to cost you a lot of upkeep. But with Gift of Health up, I don't think he cares. Getting the Vampire Lord's probably a nice grab for him too. This probably is worth for Yis, Gift of Reasoning or Divine Naming. But yeah, pretty epic defeat for Naba. I mean, I think if you look at, like, what could he have done differently, I think that the number one thing is just Will of Fate. And the second thing is, his mages just didn't seem to do much. So there goes Divine Blessing. I think the main thing you do actually is Wrathful Skies. I think that's the big one. Where like Wrathful Skies would have wrecked this shit. And Will of Fates. And maybe Mass Regen. Like if he had all those things, I think he would have won. But what are his guys even casting? Fanaticism, Enslaved Mind. So Enslaved Minds are okay. And you can see where people get kind of gradually enslaved. Yeah, I think he had his formation and stuff was pretty good. Like with not having them all too grouped up for Gifts of Heaven. They were kind of spread out, which was pretty good. Yeah, I think he probably needed Wrathful Skies for this. It kind of sucks because you can kill your own stuff with Wrathful Skies, but he does have 10 shock resistance in his Bless, so I think that's what you do. And then Will of Fates. Yeah, I think he would have won that if he did this. Anyway, that's, you know, Monday morning quarterbacking. But because Naba had a shit ton of PD here, he killed all of these assassins. Oh, no, that's a scout. I know there were assassins here. Oh, that's another scout. I know there were assassins here. Here's one. So this is a Hori with a lantern shield and then a water bottle and a faithful and 28 defense. Yeah, she's going to be pretty hard to kill. But instead, I think she gets riggedy wrecked. Fortunately, he doesn't have anybody here to steal her. So, yeah, that's how that goes. Anyway, all his assassins died too. So pretty devastating blow for Naba, which, honestly, I mean, on one hand, it's good because I would have had to have basically declared another war to get this throne, to take it from Naba if Naba took it. On the other hand, I think I would rather Naba have it. Like, I think Yis is in a higher position than Naba, so I really want the war to go well for Naba. And he's also been a long-term ally. So, anyway. I was rooting for Naba. But strategically, it might actually be kind of good that he lost that for me. Just because I wanted him to win the war, but only because this throne I would like to have. Anyway. We've cracked a few forts. So we're going to be storming both of these and seeing what he brings. He's got some guys here. He could come and fight me. He can bring it. We're ready. We are ready for a fight. So anyway, we're doing that. I'm not actually raiding a ton because I am pretty worried. Like, I think here we were successful, but I think sending out, you know, the casual 100 undead or whatever to raid, like any of these provinces here, I think these are probably all maxed out on PD, is my guess. I don't have scouts to confirm it, but I'm thinking probably pretty sure. And like, let me show you the battle here. Look at the PD down here. 360. I mean, it's maxed out. So, anyway, that is the thinking. I think by this time I might have noticed that we have a problem with taxes. Nope, I don't. He's, surprise, going to get mute like next turn. And that gets my attention because I need taxes to do Gift of Health for me. And that definitely gets my attention. Okay. So anyway, we're making progress. We're only probably like 5 turns away from having Alt 9. But I'm not anywhere near ready to cast it. We're starting to kind of try to save gems, but we're not really. We're still spending them. I'm making more liches. We're making liches, I think, down here. Somewhere. I'm not sure. The other thing I'm doing, we are making liches. I just don't know where. The other thing I'm doing, if I can find Ermor, is we've got this Troll King who I've put in Ermor. And using the Staff of Elemental Mastery, I could use Earth Boots, but this gives me the +1 province range, which is kind of nice if I don't need it for something else. And he's just dropping Wizard Towers. The first one we put was... Well, I'm not sure. Maybe this is the first time he's casting it. Did we cast it this turn? No, this is the first time. So the first time we're casting it, I think, will be 75, which is right. Okay, right here. We're casting it in Morn, because I've got this whole area that I want to be mine. And so we're going to slowly fort push it and just push Yis back into the ocean over here. Building a temple here, and yeah, that's basically the play. We're going to hopefully get all of this, but in case he's mounting like a major defense, I want to be pretty careful about just securing all the area I take as I push him back in the ocean. The other thing you may have noticed is that we are no longer poor shit. We haven't made that much more money, but we've made enough more money through the past few turns that not only am I not losing money, but I'm able to get probably 2 temples up a turn. So that's a very welcome change. And I have a lot of forts which are not templed. Like this one's forted but not templed. We're building a temple here this turn. One thing I did is I hit 2 on my keyboard, which removes all these things so I can actually see things. Otherwise, you can't see shit with Ermor. I need to build a temple here. I don't think I'm doing it yet. I need to build a temple here, which I'm not doing yet. This one I kind of want to build a temple on, but I don't want to push my dominion to Jotunheim, so we're gonna hold off on that. And I probably need to build a temple here, but likewise, I don't want to overzealously push my dominion up this way. So that's happening. Yeah, let's go ahead and go to the next turn, turn 83. And really this turn 83, we're going to be seeing if Yis is going to come out and fight. The other thing I'm doing this turn, and I didn't mention it, is that Southern Throne of Yis's, I moved my big Doom stack on. Like, we moved everybody. So we'll see what he brings out to play. Here we have a magic phase attack from Yis onto Naba. Oh no, this isn't magic phase. This is Yis going on the offense into Naba. I think Naba was sieging one of his forts is what was happening. Now, in this case, we can see that Naba has done Wrathful Skies and does have the Storm up. Or the Storm. He has Stormcast. Yis is rolling in here. He's got this Morgan Princess with Enchanted Salt, which will knock the dog shit out of these guys. It's going to freeze them so they can't dodge a hit. And then he's going to hit them with Sword of Swiftness. And he's got Quickness. So each of these swords has 2 attacks. So it's 4 attacks in total. But it goes twice per turn. So it's 8 attacks in total. And the Quickness also is going to apply to the Salt. So it's, yeah. Just watch. And then this one's got a... I don't think this one had a Ring of Returning, no. This one has a Ring of Returning, though. And then this one has a Gate Cleaver. So, yeah. And again, the Gifts of Heaven just wrecking Naba. Naba really needs Will of Fates here. He summoned some Air Elementals, but Gifts of Heaven just crashing down around him. Pillar of Fire. Okay, here's the one to watch. Watch her when she walks forward. Look, she just deletes like the whole tile in front of her. She got stunned somehow. I'm not sure how that is. These thugs actually killing a lot. And meanwhile, Yis's troops, very hard to kill. Lucky. He doesn't have a big protection buff out. Which, you know, like if he did Army of Gold, he would get hurt a lot more by Wrathful Skies. I don't know if he did... and we can tell by looking at these guys. Yeah, he does have shock resistance too, so he was prepared for Wrathful Skies here. This Madrid has Phoenix Pyre, so it's going to be hard to die. This is like the top end Naba summon, and they're pretty cool, but I found they're a little lackluster as super combatants, and I know that's really weird to say given all their paths, but I don't know. I mean, they're good, but they're really expensive. So, I don't know. I didn't find they justified the extremely high cost. And then, like, the salt vulnerability really hurts him. You can see he's not even doing anything. He's, like, completely paralyzed. Now, the bad news is that almost all of his stuff is dead. The good news for Naba is he still has a pretty big communion set up. And he still has Wrathful Skies up, which is zapping people. Madrid is back here. It does have 35 MR, so don't have to worry about that at least. And it's very low on fatigue. It's getting right now, I think, zapped by... It looks like Frozen Heart. I can't quite tell. Oh, another Sword of Swiftness. Salt carrying. I think this Morvark Knight is just persecuting this Madrid. I think it killed it over here. It popped up somewhere else. It ran directly to it. Now, he is fatigue neutral, or like fatigue negative, and he's passed out, so he's going to heal reasonably quickly. But that's kind of an interesting little sideshow back here. Okay, he wakes up for a second. Turns around, smacks the Morvark, cuts her health in half. She will regenerate, but if she knocks him out with stun this turn... And now there's two. And he got stunned again from Salt. Wrathful Skies is now down, which is very, very bad news. One thing I think he made a small mistake on is his Communion Slaves. Communion Slaves generally are very tough, especially like these guys as Communion Slaves. So I think you actually want them maybe at the front of your formation and get like all the buffs on them. And just let people come up and hit them. You know, like with Luck and Twist Fate, and you can actually keep refreshing Twist Fate on them too. But like with Luck and Twist Fate and Iron Skin and, you know, you can even have Flying Shield, which he does have. Anyway, you can have a ton of buffs on these guys. But putting them at the back, now that they're finally getting hit, you can see they're actually the hardest thing for Ys to kill. Like, if he had his Mage Core behind it, you know, he'd be in much better shape. These guys are lucky too, yeah. This is the battle I think that has weird results. I don't know if it's going to happen because I think a patch, even though it's pretty close to my real turn, a patch has happened. Oh no, it looks like he's got this. But we'll see. Ys also is pretty close to the army route threshold. And the Phoenix Pyre Communion Slaves are blinking all over the map now. And Ys is struggling to kill them, but they're popping up and just blowing up everywhere. And Ys doesn't have much left, and then now Ys routes, it's turn 95. These guys, not passed out, but are very afflicted and very slow. Like, they can barely get off the battlefield. And as all of Ys's guys run... there's only a few Naba guys left. And if I recall... Now, this is going to play out a little differently. In the original version, the only people left on the battlefield at this point were enslaved Mukaribs who Ys had stolen, and Ysian, and Naba Mukaribs, you know, like his communion slaves. And they just sat here slapping each other. And there were like 5 of them. And they were just standing there, like either slapping each other, slowly crippled, walking off the field. There were no Ys units left on the field. And then, yeah. I think it ended with them all popping at the same turn. This one gave slightly different outcome, but essentially the same. Essentially the same in the sense that everybody just about died. But it was, I think, a significantly higher investment in terms of gems and cap-only mages and stuff. Well, maybe not. I mean, there's a fair amount of Morgan champions that died. a fair amount. I mean, it was pretty catastrophic on both sides. I think it was worse for Naba because he lost like all the Yan guard. There's only like 15 more Varks here, so I don't know. It's a little hard to say, but anyway, pretty big loss for both sides, but especially for Naba. And this was Ys attacking Naba, so Naba was trying to take this throne from Ys, which was the main reason for Naba going to war, to secure this throne. But I think I don't know. I think honestly it really came down to, like, because this wasn't even PD. I think, like, the Bone Tribe Beast Hunters, he's spamming out from Gifts of Nature's Bounty. So the reason he has 100 of these is from that spell. So that's a contributing factor. I think the scripting was a little better. And again, he had Will of Fates and Naba didn't. So I think it was like, so that could be research related, but I don't know. Ys playing very, very well. Coming down here, we are attacking Ys. Right in the old flank, right in the keister. And we've got a pretty good battle on our hands here. I think this is on top of Nazca, though we'll have to check. And he has some sacrificial Mukarib he has put out to get them off the payroll. I've got some Sacreds which are going to get blessed up. Unfortunately, he also is going to bless up his whole army. Right now they've got shock resistance. There goes Army of Gold, or Army of Lead. And, yeah, he's going to zap me with all of his Gifts of Heaven stuff. And you can see we can't get through the infantry fast enough. This was a super low commitment army, but it was my thinking about this. And I probably should have talked about it last turn, but my thinking, I knew he might have done a PD dump, and this was, oh no, this was New Coast. So I knew he might have done a PD dump, and I knew he probably was going to move some of the guys from this province. My thinking about this was, this would be enough to kill only the PD dump, but it wouldn't be enough to kill the PD dump plus mage support. But I was thinking, in the chance he didn't move the mages there, and the mages instead went to go attack Ys, I would take, this would be enough to take the PD. This is a bad idea though, and some of this is just Monday morning quarterback, but like, you know, like, okay, it didn't work, it's a bad idea, but it was objectively a bad idea. I mean, I knew he was going to at least have some mage support, and I was almost certain he had done a PD dump there. So it was a little greedy of me, you know, and I lost a fair amount, 500 dudes, and then, you know, 40 sacreds. So it wasn't nothing. This was a bad move by me. And anyway, coming down, we have a battle here. Okay, I have to talk about something. There's something I missed last turn, and I really should have shown you. Okay, I'm going to show you. It's turn 83. We're going to go back to turn 82 for a minute, because this is one of the crazier things. So Relay, who has pieced out with me, has decided that he probably should have attacked Ashdod, because there was not going to be like a very firm coalition against me, and it wasn't worth him to fight me 1v1. Probably what he should have done instead of attacking me once he had conquered Jotunheim, or Utgard, Jotunheim. So anyway, he's now going after Ashdod. The problem for him, though, and Ashdod actually told me this turn. So this is the army he attacks Ashdod with. This is a major army, right? So he's got these pale ones for siege strength, which normally you put at the back. A lot of meteorite guard. I don't remember if he recruited. I think he recruited these from the coast. A ton of different mages, right? And then there's just like one Ashdod PD or something here. This is a scary army. This is probably, I would say this is probably slightly more scary than any army he brought against me, or right up there with like the one he took at my throne. Like, the army he sent up here for this throne was probably equally as scary. Maybe a bit more siege strength he had on the one going after me, but this is a scary army. And especially when you think about it, you're going to be fighting this many astral dudes with giants, and they're going to have basically every buff, so, you know, it's going to be really hard to do battlefield wipes. Well, Ashdod has a little spell called Eternal Pyre, and he has had this up for the past, like, 40 turns. And if you can do the math, 40 times 20 equals a lot. So I think it's like, what, 800 fire gems or something crazy? So he is going to be nuking this thing from orbit. I think he's doing a Murdering Winter, because apparently it's cold 3 here, because he's been preparing. And I think Ashdod took cold scales too, because even though Ashdod's a heat preference nation, he wanted more design points. So yeah, he's going to, and he doesn't have to worry about Murdering Winter. So yeah, he's going to do a Murdering Winter, and then he's probably going to do like 4, I think he said. And he told me this turn, he's like, I don't even mind telling you because I'm excited about doing it. And there's not, like, even if you told Relay, there's nothing Relay can do. There's nothing Relay can do. The only thing Relay can do is to not magic phase in more stuff to die. I mean, otherwise, it's completely in the hands of fate now. So yeah, he's going to hit it with Murdering Winter and probably at least 3. I don't know how many he's going to do, but probably more like 5 Flames from the Sky. And that will kill almost this entire army. And then I think he had done Iron Walls on the fort, so the wall integrity is 170 or 1,750. And yeah, he teleported also in a big army. And with that army, he will be busting out and killing whatever is left, which will probably not be much, which I'll go ahead and show you now what happens. 83. Of that army we just saw, this is all that's left. So Ashdod rides out now to meet whoever was left on top. After his strategic bombardment, this is literally all that was left. I mean, I'm glad to see my lictors survived. But, I mean, they're kind of beat to hell a bit. Like, the Murdering Winter doesn't kill them, which is nice. And they have pretty good protection and pretty decent base HP. But you can see they're even a little beat up from being hit from Flames from the Sky. The Meteorite Guard who are left are just in shambles. I mean, in absolute shambles. Just look at these guys. Look at this. So he probably could have saved. I mean, I don't know if he was looking to be terribly efficient. He had a shit ton of fire gems. He's been itching to do this to somebody. Just so glad it wasn't me. The only thing of consequence here is this Tartarian, which, though very strong, is not going to survive. So the Proud, and you have to, I mean, poor Relay. I mean, you think about it, this is what happened. He went off to this war against me thinking he was part of a grand coalition, right? Because I was fighting, at the time when Relay picked a fight with me, I was fighting Naba. And he's like, I'm not going to let Naba fall to you. I'm going to pick a fight with you. So for a little while, I'm fighting Naba and Ys. Not Naba. I'm sorry. Relay and Ys. Right? But then for Naba, there's no incentive to attack me. He could maybe get 1 throne. Right? This is the only thing he can get. And this throne has 500 siege defense. And everything around him is 0 population. Right? This one has 400 population. And this also happens to be, and he doesn't, I don't think, know this, but this also is closest. First of all, I care desperately about defending this area, so I will prioritize this fight over every other fight, if for no other reason, just because the Crypt of Underneath. So there's that. There's a Thaumaturgy down here. I will protect this with all of my energy. Like, I would give up ground to Relay in a heartbeat before I gave this up to Naba. So one, there's basically almost nothing he stands to gain, and B, it would cost him extremely dearly to take anything, because I would fight like a dog. I would fight like an absolute dog to keep all this. And anyway, for him to make a play, he actually probably if he can get the Yis stuff, there's 2 Yis thrones he could potentially take. And I had been in this war with Naba, not Naba, with Yis, and I had killed almost all the Morvark Knights. All the Morvark Knights were dead. There was no Gifts of Nature's Bounty. It appeared that Yis was indeed very weak, and it overplayed his hand. And by the way, that's also how a lot of Yis games go, is they seem incredibly, like unstoppable, and then you kill all their Morvark Knights and then they die. So anyway, we had reached the second step, which is we killed all the Morvark Knights, and it seemed like it was the third step where they die. Anyway, so Naba is not going to fight me, but I'm sure he was telling people he's kind of part of the coalition against me. Meanwhile, at the same time, Ashdod, I'm sure, was saying that, like, Ermor is a problem. We have to do something about them. And, he had already kind of put some skin in the game by attacking me on Scalaria. Put his money where his mouth is a little bit. And we had jousted a little bit. But, of course, I had, my 6 stone idols. I don't think at the beginning I had 6, but, like, very shortly after I had, 6 stone idols trying to keep my dominion from pushing into Scalaria. So even if he got some stuff, it was going to be hard won and not much. But you could argue he should have attacked, but for him, he already had every throne on our border. So, and Ashdod's reasonably close to a throne victory. So he would be putting all his energy into something that is not ever going to give him a throne. So that didn't make sense. So anyway, Relay is in this. What he thinks is a coalition against the big bad evil Ermor. He's really in it all alone. All alone. Because now it's Yis and Naba fighting. I'm not even really fighting. I've peaced out with Yis. It's just me fighting Relay. He's pushing into these forts that have 500 siege defense. And they're filled to the brim with Bane Venom charms. And so his whole army's getting diseased. And then gradually I kill off army after army. And now he's completely on the back foot. He ends up having to peace out with me just to save and give up a lot of land, which he's going to have to give up anyway. That was just a consequence of the military engagements. But it always hurts when you do it voluntarily rather than having it forcibly pried from your hands. So anyway, he did that, then marches off to fight Ashdod, who probably he should have, and I haven't thought about it a ton about who he should have attacked, but he probably should have attacked Ashdod at the beginning instead of me. And he could have even, said, well, I'm attacking you because you're not fighting Ermor or something, but whatever. He could also just attack him to get his thrones, and it's a good matchup. But at that point, he probably did not have flames from the sky either. But now, oh boy, does he have flames from the sky. And so poor Relay, attacking Ashdod now, gets completely nuked from orbit to the point where that previously impressive army is entirely dead. How bad does that feel? Anyway, that is what transpired over here. Ashdod crushed him. But the question now and the risk is that Ashdod has crushed them so completely that, if Ashdod gets all these thrones, he's actually really close to a throne victory. He's got this one and this one. Okay, so he's got, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So he's got these 3. Of these, I think this is Yis and this is Relay. Yis, Relay, and this is Ashdod's. Oh, wait, maybe I got it wrong. This is Ashdod's. This is Ashdod's. This is Yis's, and this is Relay's. So Ashdod, Relay, Yis. So he's got 4 thrones, which I think is the same as me. I think I have 4 too. Oh no, I only have 3. Yeah, I only have 3. So he has 1 more than me. But if he gets both of these, he'll be kind of set up to potentially win. He only needs to get 1 more, which, it's hard to say which it would be, but it would probably have to be 1 in this column or 1 in this column. So he could make some crazy play underwater and try to get this one, which I'd have to be a little worried about if he gets these other 2, or he'd have to come after one of mine. Or Yis's over here. So anyway, I'm not saying it's like imminent, but it is definitely a risk. And he does have most of the globals now. He's got Well of Misery, which I share with him, so I'm like half of a global, and then Earthblood Deepwell and Eternal Pyre. So anyway, I'm always happy to see the squids die, but there's a tragic feel about it. On our front of the war, though, we took this fort. There's almost nothing inside of it. We took this fort. There was almost nothing inside of it. And we got repelled here where we attacked. Now, the question is, where do we move? And my thinking is, I've taken this. He probably thinks I'm going to run straight into him and take this with these combined forces. And he's already done a huge PD investment. So he probably wants to protect this PD investment he's done here. So my thinking is he probably patrols. And instead what I'm going to do is go to, I think, a province with a lower likelihood that he goes there. And we're going to just hit this. It also makes sense that I would get this if I want to go for this throne. You know, I'm going to like carve out this part and slowly progress the empire. Instead, we're going to go to wherever his army's not. So we're going to go right here. And this army with all these mages is a little scary. I think I can kill it, but I don't really want to run headlong at it. So anyway, we're going to go here. We're going to send my second army with my casters and stuff here. And we're going to send a third army at Nazca. Wait, whoops. Oh, no army at Nazca. First army here, second army here. We're going to send some light raiders to just go on top of this. In case he's got a thug on top, I'm also sending a Death 2 who can cast Disintegrate. And that will probably deal with a thug. So yeah, anyway, that's basically the plan. The crafty thing we're doing is I've popped his fort, and I've moved in an army with a shit ton of lictors. This is like major lictor commitment. 200 plus lictors, probably another 100 knights. The mages to cast all the shit. And he's got a ton of dudes from Gifts of Nature's Bounty. I mean, he is basically a free spawn nation now with Gifts of Nature's Bounty up. Every single province, he doesn't even care what type of units there. He's going to make whatever indies he can and whatever mages he can, and he's going to never run out of money. So anyway, I'm expecting all these guys to show up and kick me off. And that is when we are going to deploy our secret weapon, which is going to be... We're going to still leave a fair amount of undead, like 300, and some ghouls in case there's some enslaved mind stuff coming out. And then we're going to have these guys, and they're going to have 6 gems each, and they're going to do 2 bone grindings and then advance and cast spells. There's a small chance that that they win the combat, which I'm okay with. Like, bone grinding could rout the HP, the enemy, and because they're immortal and they've routed their own stuff, they don't even care. We're also going to be having him here do anti-magic, which will be nice. So there's a chance he gets magic dueled and dies, but that's worth the risk of preventing one of these guys from getting like Soul Slate or something. So anyway, there's that. So that's basically the plan for this turn. And yeah, we'll go ahead and pull up the next turn. That'll probably be the last turn for this episode. Have I finally figured out taxes needs to move? I have not. All right, turn 84. I think this might be the turn that Taxes gets his Mute Affliction. Turn 84. More Void Lurker shenanigans. And we have just a few battles, so let's take a look. Here's the first one. This is our small light commitment raiding party going on top of this fort. And this fort does not have a PD dump, which is nice, because otherwise this probably would die. Yes, indeed, rides out. And this is really what you tuned in for. This is probably the coolest part for me for this episode. This is a pretty scary army. He's got a fair amount of Kernel Druids. He's got a lot of Morvark Knights. He's got a ton of Knights of Ys. And these are part of his army. These are not PD. And then this is not PD either. These are Meral Druids or Ysian militia from forts he recruits underwater. He's got a Morgan Sorceress here, a Morgan Sorceress here with Staff of the Storms. So it's interesting to see he's deploying Staff of Storms tech to keep me from jumping all over him, which means it's basically a turn 0 storm. So I can't, I can never fly on top of him. But we moved the army out. We did a switcheroo. You have been jebaited. And, yeah. Here we go, boys. The banishment coming out. You can see I split my guys up. 3 bone grindings. Now, this first round of bone grindings killed a bunch of shit. If we take a look at it, we can see a lot of these Kernel Druids are dead. A lot of these guys are dead. A lot of these guys are dead. But not a ton. But this is only round 1. Some of the Morvark Knights are dead. Right? We've killed a fair amount of shit. But this is just round 1. Unfortunately, before round 2 goes off, he gets Life After Death up. So there goes Life After Death. Some of the militia are even routed. And there goes the second round. Now, unfortunately, the problem with the second round is... Well, it's going to turn them to undead, but it's not guaranteed to kill them. We can see the Soul Slays coming out, hitting the zombies. And what I'm kind of banking on is these guys have pretty good MR21. I'm kind of banking on his Morvark Knights coming over and tapping me on the shoulder before the Soul Slays come out. And as soon as they get hit, they get zapped home. Yeah, okay. So indeed, it worked according to plan perfectly. Here is the Butcher's Ledger. We've got almost everything died when you look at it. Like, all of the Morvark Knights, 37 of the 40 died. Of the Knights of Ys, 65 of the 76 died. Of the Kernel Druids, 17 died. Of the Merrow Druids, 17 died. Morgan Princess died. Morgan Sorceress died. The only redeeming thing is he's got 18 Soulless Commanders, which means between all the mages that died, he only lost probably about half of them permanently. But we did kill all the Morvark Knights permanently, and so that's nice. So, pretty scorching win for us here. Pretty happy with that. We also are moving our other armies into position to attack. And here we run into a 300 PD dump, but it does not have much mage support at all. And it might not be quite 100. It might be like 80 or something. But without any mage support, you can see they get absolutely chopped to pieces. Let's see what it was. Yeah, this is maybe like a 90 PD, I think. Something like that. And then we attack here, and there's almost no PD. Yoink. Okay. And so that's what's happening. Now, the moves we're going to make, you can see he reinforced this army quite heavily. And the graphics, again, are kind of messed up. Mostly of Vetis, and then with some Knights of Ys, and then Ictids. So it's not mostly Knights of Ys. That's just the patch bug. Anyway. You can see he did indeed defend this, kind of like I thought he would. And we popped this fort, so in all likelihood, he's going to come down here and try to knock me off of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over here. I know he has a full PD dump on this, and we're going to just try to kill the PD. And while he's chasing me around with this big scary army, which presumably is bigger and scarier than it was before, we're going to just run away from him and kill his PD. Now, his income is probably like 8,000 now, is my guess. It's gone down some as I've been attacking him. So if it's 8,000, and I think these PD dumps cost him at least 4,000 each, that's going to get rid of a lot of the Nature's Bounty boon he's getting. I don't know if he... I mean, he's still going to be able to recruit a lot. I don't know if he can max out recruitment, though, because... You know, if you think about it, if he's making out 8,000, but his upkeep's like 3,000, and we kill 4,000 every turn just from PD... That's not going to leave a lot of disposable income for him left. So, anyway, I could be misestimating what his income is or what his upkeep is or anything like that. Or maybe this isn't 100 PD, maybe... Because I've seen it at... I don't know. I could also be misestimating the PD, but it's definitely a lot. So, anyway, we're going to come over here and knock this off. And we've got a pretty big force which is going to come over here. I'm bringing in a ferry from this army. This was the army that was on top of the throne. We're bringing a ferry to do Fog Warriors, which should be enough for this goon squad to take out what is almost certainly a 100 PD dump on top of Nazca. And the idea I have is that this is going to be kind of like a low commitment army I put on top of Nazca, but it's just going to have support from the Fairy Queen. And this army is going to stay here. So if he counter raids here, we'll kill whatever is here. And the next turn will give me the ability to move this army back on top of this fort. That's what I'm thinking. This fort we have some idiots on, but we have not cracked the fort yet. And then this fort, which we have cracked, yeah, we're going to dodge him. We're going to come up here and knock this PD out. This fort, which we've cracked, he has no way of reinforcing, so we're just going to storm and take this. I could probably storm and take it with less than the full army, but we're going to be a little wasteful here and just take it with the whole army. So, yeah, that's basically that for this part of the war. Okay. Taxes has finally figured out, hey, I need to eat some people. Apparently my skin is getting all gross and falling apart, and my brain is deteriorating, and I've gotten a mute affliction. I need to get the hell out of Dodge. So we're going to get Taxes all the way over here to Jotunheim. Then we're going to have her do a blood feast. And then when the time comes, we're going to do Gifts of Nature's Bounty. And we're going to have to just keep her in a province. It's going to be weird micro. We're going to have to keep her in a province that has people in it, so that she doesn't get a feeble-minded affliction and lose the global. So that's the plan. That is the master plan. And I think that is it for this episode, guys. So thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.